Well, that's not necessarily true. It says makes zero sense to get any dangerous vaccines. Well, what if there was an aerosolized Ebola? 50% mortality rate. And what if you find out that the vaccine only works half the time and there's a 10% chance that it causes you to develop a severe rash or heart problems or something like that? And this Ebola is spreading rampantly. Would you take the vaccine? You see, there's risk reward in all things. You look at the potential spectrum of problems from natural contraction of the disease. Normal coronaviruses, the common cold, these things, we don't vaccinate for that because it's not really a problem unless you're immunocompromised, and that's an opportunistic infection. It kills you for different reasons. But we sure as hell do vaccinate for yellow fever, and we sure as hell do vaccinate for very dangerous diseases, especially diseases that are terrible for children like measles, mumps, and rubella. And those programs, I went to a plantation today, and it was a plantation down in New Orleans, and it was sugar plantation, and I got to learn the entire history of the plantation. One of the people that lived at the plantation had 14 kids. Only 4 of them lived to adulthood. 10 died from child-borne diseases. MMR vaccination is a big deal. It prevents this type of stuff. So there's always a trade-off, risk and reward. Medical ethics is about the concept of informed consent. What can we tell you? What do we know? Do you understand and have the capacity to understand what's going on? And it's difficult sometimes. What if the patient has dementia? What if the patient's unconscious? What if the patient is mentally challenged? Then how do you inform them? And they have a custodian, but who is the proper custodian? Who's the proper guardian of the patient? Is it a parent? What if the dad disagrees and the mom does? We see this a lot. One parent wants to vaccinate the child, the other parent does not. There's been more than one divorce over this in the United States right now. Well, do both have the right information? It's a problem. So it does make sense, even if there's danger. It's just a question of, do we have an accurate view? Do we understand? And we have to look at the societal threat. In the case of childhood vaccinations, it was not an academic reality. Every single person who grew up in the 19th century and the first half of the 20th century knew someone, without exception, who lost a child early because of an infectious disease. It was a fact of human experience. And it's why everybody had lots of kids, because your kids were your retirement, and not all of them are going to be with you by the time you hit 30. It's just how it is. Vaccinations change that. That's a fact. So then the question is, okay, what is safe and effective? What is reasonable? And it's always proportional to the threat. When COVID first came out, why did everybody get so concerned? Probably came out of a lab. And governments freaked the fuck out because it's the first time they'd ever been exposed to something like that. And it causes all kinds of bizarre side effects, neurological problems and myocarditis. And you look at lungs where long COVID, it's like bombs have gone off. It's scary. And so they said, God, we need to do something. And they overstepped. And by overstepping, they destroyed the global economy and harmed a lot of people and pushed a lot of people into desperate ends. Now they're trying to walk it back. And the MacGuffin of walking it back is vaccination, even if it's not appropriate. And they have removed the power from the physician to make that decision with the patient. They're forcing it upon society. I don't understand what's the point of a medical license anymore if a doctor no longer has the ability to make medical decisions with the patient and have that discussion with them. Okay, we didn't elect a doctor-in-chief in the United States, but I guess we have one now. So that's a problem, and it destroys the faith and credibility in institutions. And it's seldom going to come back easily.